Okay, hello everyone. I'm gonna be showing you now a showcase of the physics entity setup that I've made for Blender and how it all works, both in game and how you can use it from the editor. So, first of all, I wanted to show something a little bit special, and that is the fact that you can actually scale up the objects that you spawn with this thing by just scaling up the object in Blender, right? And that's pretty cool because you get a giant barrel on the thing. It's pretty funny, but sadly, as you can see, it's not really working as intended. It's kind of funky and it doesn't really work well. So yeah, it's a shame, but it is what it is. And it also comes with another downside, because first, let me just go ahead and explode this bad boy. You can see that all of them blow up because they were too close together, but as you can see, the scraps generated are actually super tiny because they are of a regular sized barrel. And if we restart the map, the generated barrel actually respawns with its regular dimensions rather than being super big. So that means that whatever you do with generating entities only works as long as the level is loaded for the first time, right? The moment you use the restart button, all the game does is reset the entity states, and that means that basically it's going to be respawning this object right here. And since it's gonna be respawning it, it means that it doesn't magically like become bigger again. It resets its transform because it just spawns a new object where this one was supposed to be before. Because it resetting quote-unquote entity states doesn't mean resetting them to how they were when we started, since the objects are constantly created and destroyed when you spawn and kill entities, rather than those being fixed buffers and stuff. What it actually just does is like it kills everything and it spawns in new objects with the same data, but since it spawns them with the same data, it doesn't really account for the scale transform for some reason. I guess it was programmed like that because they didn't really think people would scale them up. So yeah, what that means in short is that since the barrels are XMB files, if you want a giant barrel, you're gonna have to create your own custom class, and that's exactly the same problem we had with particles, where we cannot really scale them up. I mean, technically we can change their scale, right? But it doesn't do anything. And there's in the game code multiple variations of the particles according to the sizes that they want it to be of on screen. So we'll have to do the same. If you want to have a giant barrel, you just create a new folder of your own and add your own custom thing, right? And you could, since you have to locate it within the data physics folder, you just make one folder within that folder, right? And put in your own name, for example, my mod name, and inside of that your XMB file with your custom entities, and then you would write my mod name / whatever inside of the Blender UI when created the object, right? So if we reload the level like this, you're gonna see that the barrel is giant again, which is pretty funny, but yeah, it's not really intended. So it is what it is. Yeah, let's go over to the Blender side of things so that we can see what is going on in here. And we can see that these objects that I've decided to represent with these kind of arrow things, right, with the axis reading in there. I don't know, I just thought it would be cool, but I guess it's not the best representation. Regular empty would be better in my opinion, but I chose that for it to be different, right, like particles. And when you add it, we can go ahead, let's make a new empty, right, of type plain axis, for example. And we can go ahead and say, okay, well, I want this to be locator, trigger, blah, 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 and we got physics entity. And if we create a physics entity, we can assign any name to it, and we got barrel explosive or whatever, right? You can go ahead and put in any of the names from any of the objects that exist within the game's code. So we could go ahead and check out, where do we have a physics entity in here, right? And we can go ahead and say, for example, we want to put in a, well, we got calc mechanisms and stuff like that. Probably the radio tower would crash. It's going to probably require more code for it to work. We do have the tower bomb, which is pretty cool. It's a giant bomb you know, bigger size barrel for, you know, on the other side of the coin DLC. And this shield probably works out of the box, so we could try that one out. Yeah, let's pick this one. We could put it in here and just say, give me this shield, right? And now we just position it wherever we think is gonna make more or less sense, right? And I'm going to move it around in here, because I guess there it's probably a good enough place, or whatever. Any place is good as anything, I suppose. We can just export this object, right? And we'll... Okay, we got it. Export, start up the map again. And well, let me kill this guy. And well, it's not visible, but it's here. It's colliding with me. And it probably has the same amount of health as in the DLC, or maybe it's immortal now, I don't know. It's there, and we killed it. Yeah, okay, so it works, but it doesn't appear to be visually unseen, because probably the thing is that the object is maybe rotated the other way around. Okay, so maybe rather than being faced out from this direction, we had to rotate it like 180 degrees to actually see the object, but yeah, it worked, kinda, I guess. Okay, and here we are. I decided to make a few changes, and I was testing different objects, and well, I have placed around a few explosive crates, which I suppose we can also blow up. Yep. And I did scale up the barrel to see what would happen non-uniformly, and well, it does work. It scales non-uniformly properly. But it's got a problem, and the problem is that the scale actually was on the Z-axis in Blender, which means it should have a scale on the Y-axis here, but as you can see, it's scaled on the Z-axis within MagickCow, which means that rather than scaling up, it's scaling side to side. And that's obviously not good, because it's not what I intended to do, which means that my code needs a little bit of a fix-up to actually be able to support a proper translation from the current coordinate system to MagickCow's coordinate system, which means that doing the 30, 90-degree rotations and then a bunch of fixes is actually not 100% a correct solution. So it's going to require a little bit more of extra work to get going, but for now this is good enough to make maps, especially if you don't do weird stuff like that, because you know, scaling up those objects doesn't really make much sense, considering the fact that they are going to go back to their original size when you restart the map anyways. So yeah, and of course, in case anyone's got any doubts, let's kill ourselves to see what happens when the map restarts with the defeat screen, in case it's any different from, you know, using the restart button. And as you can see, it's pretty much just the same as using the restart button. The object just goes back to a regular scale. So yeah, not much else to be said about it. And well, let's end up with bang. So yeah, thanks for watching, I suppose, and in the next video I'll be trying to get force fields to work tomorrow probably, and after that we would pretty much have a fully featured you know, level editor for MagickCow, and after that it would all be quality of life improvements going on and shit. And I would most likely just like to get the whole Y app transformation system working in a way that is actually, you know, free of traps, like it can 100% work in any system. So I will probably, rather than having to rely on transformation matrices, which would come with a few small, you know, digits of precision error, which the 90-degree rotation already has, you know, I will probably either swap out coordinates by hand and handcraft a transform matrix that doesn't have the translation, or maybe I could actually keep using transformation matrices but just calculate them in the get stage for every single object by picking them up, rotating them, you know, 90 degrees in the opposite direction to the one we want to rotate in, then applying all of the transformation except the translation, right? Then rotating 90 degrees in the direction that we actually want to rotate in to align with y up, and that way we will have all of our transform operations represented in our correct y up system, and after that we could rotate it again and then merge it with the rotated translation property, right? So that could work, maybe. I guess it could, yeah, but it seems like it's probably going to be computationally expensive, even though it's technically the correct solution, you know? It's going to be a bit computationally expensive doing it from Python, so I'll try to look for the correct functions that actually give me the best performance. So yeah, thanks for watching.